LAGIM, the Philippine folklore-themed player elimination card game. First off, this game has amazing artwork and premium components. Check out our unboxing video linked in the description for a more in-depth look into that aspect. For this video though, we will focus on checking out the gameplay, then reviewing LAGIM as a package. LAGIM is surprisingly a light game. A lot of people I introduced this game to said it looked intimidating, but it was actually easy to learn. It has no solo mode upon making this review, but it does support 2 to 6 players. Setup. The game is quick to set up. First, lay down the game board. Then, place the card deck holder for the Barrio realm and the Forest realm at the center of the board. We then take our Barrio deck, which contains the Lakas and Contra cards, shuffle them and place them at the Barrio deck holder. We do the same with our Forest deck, which contains the Lagim and Hiwaga cards. Shuffle them and place them on the Forest deck holder. Now, distribute 3 soul coins and 1 dark soul coin per player. We then distribute the player reference to each player. Each player then draws 4 cards. Take the silab, give it to the first player, and we are ready to start. LAGIM has 3 phases, starting with Takip Silip or Twilight. Here, the player draws a card. Then, sets up the initial Barrio defense by placing up to 3 Lakas or Contra cards face down. The 3 card limit is only active on the first turn. You can put down as many cards on subsequent turns. The player then moves the silab to the second phase mark on the player reference to indicate the end of Twilight and the beginning of Hating Gabi or Midnight. Here, the player draws from the Forest deck and must take 1 of 4 possible actions. The player can defend the Barrio from the Forest card by using the defenders placed during Twilight. Each Forest card has a value on its upper left corner called Entity Level. In this scenario, Bungisngis has an entity level of 3. To capture this Forest card, the player must play a defender with a total value that is higher than the entity level. The player can boost a defender's entity level by playing multiple cards. If the player plays a card of equal value, then it results in a draw and both cards gets discarded. If the entity might be too powerful to face right now, the player could choose to use a special Contra card instead, which blocks the LAGIM's power until it could be dealt with later. Lastly, the player could choose to stand by and allow the LAGIM card to become a Dweller. This way, the player could keep their defenders in case of raids from other players on subsequent turns. Doing this though is dangerous as most LAGIM cards have debuffs that limit the player's defending capabilities. The player then moves the silab again to indicate the end of midnight and the start of dawn. At dawn, the player could choose to do one of several actions, such as recuperating, which allows the player to draw a card. The player could also choose to repel a Dweller, similar to the actions discussed at midnight. If the player has Forest cards in their hand, they could unleash up to 3 cards on an opposing Barrio through raids. Be careful though, as the opposing Barrio could send back raiding LAGIM cards if they bribe them with Hiwaga cards of the same archetype. If you had Hiwaga cards of the same archetype, you could then counter the counter raid until no player has Hiwaga cards to offer the LAGIM anymore. If a Barrio gets overwhelmed with 4 or more LAGIM cards, then that player discards all of the Forest cards and all of their defenders as well. Afterwards, the player loses a soul coin. Before that happens though, on your dawn phase, you could spend a dark soul coin to take 2 Forest cards dwelling in your Barrio or take 2 straight from the Forest deck. If you run out of soul coins, then you are eliminated from the game. If all other players run out of soul coins though, then the last player to have one wins the game. Alternatively, successfully overwhelming a Barrio and some card effects allow you to steal soul coins and place them on your spirit path. Completing the spirit path automatically wins you the game. Those are the basics of LAGIM. There are other effects like casting spells, making Barrio offerings, or triggering summoning abilities, but it would take a bit too long to discuss them. If you have rule clarifications though, or curious about anything about this game, feel free to leave a comment on this video and we'll do our best to help you out. Overall, LAGIM is a game that would look beautiful on your collection on top of a quick and light PvP that immerses the player in the chilling world of Philippine mythology. Let us know which Pinoy-made board game you'd like us to review next. If you enjoyed the video, you could show your support by dropping a like, sharing this video with your friends, and joining the family by hitting that follow. Until next time, keep enjoying life, players!